I mean, Invisible Man.
Hey, that button worked. Are we all here, gentlemen?
Meep.
Present and accounted for.
Okay, let's do it.
You can count? Holy
Everyone
shit.
thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Greetings and salutations, my wonderful freaks. I am your Uncle Necro, and I welcome you all to the Tomb of the Terrible. It's the show in which I get to lovingly assault your senses with B-movie madness.
Hello, my lovelies.
Good morning.
And with me today, I have Chaos and Ron, and I am your stand-in, but never your replacement, Jenny. Well, Friday.
And Chaos is just a voice in the void.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a voice in the void. So, we watched The Wraith. And, yeah. We watched The Wraith, and we are here to tell you what we think. Gentlemen,
before we get into that, we should probably make note that this show has been a long time coming, probably a couple of months, because life got in the way for a whole bunch of us, and things happened, and we kept having to put the show off. But now we're back, and hopefully with some regularity.
Yeah, the plan is to get back on track. It's just between one of us being in the hospital, having to move, and other stuff like that. Stuff has not just worked out the way we wanted it to be working. So, yeah. Either way, we're back. And we're hoping to get back to every other week and get the shows back on track. And, go from there. And by the way, we do have an anthology coming out soon, and we'll tell you guys about that later. But either way, Gentlemen, was this your first time watching this movie?
No. Probably not even the third.
Actually, I think it was, because I don't remember this movie despite it being as old as it is.
I honestly can't tell you, because I watched all sorts of sci-fi and other types of movies when I was a kid, so I can't remember, so it might as well be my first time. So, okay. Anyways, Beast. What
Beast?
Yep, you're the Beast, according to your shirt. Hey, Beast.
But not Mr. Beast. That's an entirely different YouTuber.
No. We're gonna call you the Ron Beast of Ron, or Ron of the Beast, or the
Well,
Beast that is
you
Ron.
can call me Crazy Cooter since that's the character I'm playing for this haunt season. Crazy Cooter's Cryptid Tours. We got all kinds of cryptids coming around here. And we got the beast right here. Bring out the beast within, baby. Oh, yeah.
Beast formerly known as Ron.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Crazy Cooter, what is your initial thoughts about this movie?
So I remember watching this as a kid when it first came out. We were one of the very few people on our block to have a satellite dish back when HBO and Cinemax and all them pay channels were still free. I vaguely recall watching this movie at that time on satellite on HBO. And I thought it was a cool movie back then. And I still think that it's a good concept for a movie, but I think my opinion of it has slightly changed, which we will get into. But overall, I think it was cooler back when I was a kid and didn't really overanalyze things. And now that I'm older and, it's my job for the show to actually analyze movies, it makes a big difference. But it's more nostalgia than anything. So I can watch it and I still find it entertaining just purely for that aspect. And so this movie I have seen a couple times, and my overall opinion of it still has not really changed as many times as I've seen it.
Okay, and to be honest, Ron, you analyze a lot of things randomly all the time. So,
Truth.
So, Josh, what were your initial thoughts?
It's a decent movie, just a little bit on the predictable side.
Okay. Anything else to add?
Right offhand.
Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. My initial thoughts was it's another 80s sci-fi movie, and you get all the wonderful 80s things. You have a group of general good guys, you have the group of general bad guys, you get the iconic cop played by our favorite person out of Independence Day, and yeah, you get a lot of good 80s nostalgia in the movie. That would be my initial thoughts on that. What were something? Did you have something you want to add?
Not right offhand at the moment.
Okay, I wasn't sure with what you were saying.
No, I was just checking something.
Then, Ron, what were things that you liked about the movie?
I like the concept. I think it's a pretty cool idea for what they were trying to do. I love the car, the Dodge Interceptor. Yeah. And as far as I know, that really was the only one of them that they ever did come out with. I think that the movie was supposed to be like a promo for the Dodge Interceptor that was supposed to hit the market. And I don't know that it ever did. So as far as I know, the one that they used in the movie was the only one of its kind, which they even say that at the end of the movie, there's the only one of its kind. Car is pretty badass. I think that they were trying to maybe capitalize on like Knight Rider and other shows at the time that utilize very badass cars. Knight Rider probably being the top one. The car itself has some interesting qualities, and that gets me to my over analytical points, which we can delve into a little bit later. I like Charlie Sheen in this movie. I think he's good for the character, for playing Jake. This was before he started getting all wrapped up into drugs and really sort of losing his mind and going off the deep end. This is back when he was still clean, still young. And you can kind of see in his youth, just how much like he and Emilio Estevez are related, because they almost kind of look alike in this movie. I like this character. I like the storyline, but they don't really give a lot of information about what actually is going on. The drag race scenes, those are pretty cool. And again, they also bring up questions. There's just a lot of really unanswered questions in this, but overall, I think that the story holds together pretty well. And there's a little bit of homage to maybe some other movies that were happening at the time. What is it, like the neon blue spark that shoots across the screen? That was a very prevalent effect that they use in a lot of other movies, namely like Tron was a really big one. A lot of sci-fi movies at the time kind of use that same kind of effect. And, this is back before they even had stuff like Adobe Effects. What is the After Effects? Back before they even had After Effects. So they really had to work to get these CGI effects, or they had to manually animate them themselves. So movies these days are not made with the same kind of manual hands-on that movies had to be made with back in the 80s, which is why I think movies like this kind of withstand the test of time. A lot of really cool imagery in this movie, particularly when Charlie Sheen's character Jake is in his full Wraith outfit with the helmet and the leathers, and he's standing in the doorway of the chop shop, and it's all silhouetted. That's kind of a cool image. It's kind of a cool effect because it's light behind him, but everything else is sort of dark around him. So, it does kind of create that intimidating aspect of it. So then there's the scene at the quarry where they're all swimming and Jake shows up, and you think there's going to be a confrontation between him and the asshole boyfriend of the girl. And this is going to play out like a Karate Kid type scenario with Johnny Lawrence, but that never really happens. There's no full-on controversy that happens between Jake and I think his name is Michael, the asshole boyfriend. I think his name is Michael. There's no full-on controversy between the two, and all of the controversy takes place between the cars. And so I think that the story holds together pretty well because it keeps the focus on what this movie was supposed to be focused on, which is the Dodge Interceptor. So they did a pretty good job with it, but we can get into some of the nitpicky things later on.
Yeah, dang it, I forgot his name. The guy in the Mummy movies, Brendan Fraser, was talking about how even when those movies were made, they had to think out and choreograph everything down to the tiniest step to make sure they could work the CGI around it. And he improv the part where he poked the mummy in the eyes like Three Stooges.
Mm-hmm.
And he heard them having a conversation. I was like, can we do that? I think we can do that. I want to keep that. We got to figure out how to do that. And he's like, I can hear you. And they come up to him and say, hey, we can find a way to keep that in the movie. That was funny. I want to keep that in the movie. And that was one of the coolest things to think about, how now on your cell phone you can do 100 times easier anything CGI and AI based compared to what they were doing in the movies, even when they made the Mummy movies.
Yeah, they were still using mocap suits back then, but the technology that they had still isn't as good as the technology, of course, that they have now, and all the stuff that they can do with mocap now. Because now you can do thousands and thousands of reference points in your mocap suit to get realistic movement and action from the character. And I don't even think back then, like, they were really using a lot of green screen stuff. So, they would have had to film all of this live. So I think this movie takes place in Arizona, in the desert of Arizona. So if they were going to do something like that, they would have had to set all of that stuff up, out there in the hot sun and get it right and do however many takes to get the one that they need just for the movie,
Oh yeah.
So it's definitely a different type of movie making, which, nowadays would be so much easier. But when you have to do it live like that with real actors, and you have to plan for those type of CGI effects to be added later, that makes it a lot harder, which is why, these kind of movies, they're still with us today.
Oh yeah. That's one of the cool things to think about these type of movies. Joshy?
Before I get into mine, I'm going into what you said earlier about the Interceptor. Here's a little bit more information on it. The Dodge M4S Turbo Interceptor was originally designed as a pace car for IndyCar by Chrysler and PPG Industries. And there were a total of 9 actually produced, 4 functional and 5 non-functional units. So a total of 9 units were ever actually produced.
Could you imagine how much one of those Interceptors would be worth today if you actually had one? If there was only 4 functioning ones, imagine how much that would be worth.
By now, our price is $500,000. Well, $1,000 shy of $500,000. $499,000.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
At the time of its production, it was going for $47,000,
which was still an expensive car way back then, especially in the 80s.
Insane back then.
Okay. Anything now about the things you liked?
Well, as we've all said, the car, it was a very nice car. I liked most of the cast they had for this movie. Can't tell you half of them's names right off the top of my head because my brain sucks. But
it's been a couple months since we watched it.
Yeah. Well, even if I would have watched it about an hour and a half ago, I probably still wouldn't have been able to tell you half of their names.
True that.
But the CGI for the movie, even compared for the time it was made, was very well done.
Okay. I loved the era of Charlie Sheen we got in the movie, because whenever I was a kid, I remember loving the movies that he and his brother were in. Probably watched Hot Shots way too many times. The movie had a general plot we could follow, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
That's going to be one of the things I check off the list moving forward.
Can you follow the plot?
Does it have a plot that you can follow? I generally liked the cast. The really smart car guy with the poofy hair. He was my age when he did that character. And that was interesting. I really like that actor. For the 80s, it was a really good movie, and it generally has withstood the test of time. There are a few things where it's like, how does that work? But then again, movie logic. So yeah.
Yeah, and insofar as this being 80s, there are some 80s movies that heavily focus on 80s fashions at the time, and they try to exaggerate them for either comedic effect or for stylistic purposes for the movie. You see this a lot in like the teenage rom-coms and boy meets girl, boy tries to get girl, girl's dating somebody else, and a love triangle type of movies. Some Kind of Wonderful being at the top of my head for some reason. What was the one with Freddie Prinze Jr.? Cheese All That, I think it was. Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of the 80s movies at the time, when they focus on like the actual styles and they do the whole makeover montage and everything. Well, this movie is distinctly 80s without trying to be distinctly 80s, because that's just the way people dress. They weren't trying to overemphasize it as like, hey, these are the styles of the 80s. No, I mean, the way that people dressed in this movie were just the way people dressed in the 80s. So this is like a true representation of what 80s styles actually looked like. So the dude with the big mohawk, it was like huffing the paint cans and all that. Like people walked around that looked like that. The leather vest over denim jackets and all the piercings and high top shoes with the pants tight rolled, things like that. Those are unironically 80s trends that were popular at the time that nobody really thinks about. So like if you really want a good representation of how people actually dressed without calling attention to the styles, this is a good movie for that, and I think that's kind of cool when you think about it. They're being unironically 80s without trying to be 80s, because with the whole car being futuristic and all of that, it sets it in the here and now, which makes the car an anomaly, which is what it's supposed to be. So again, it makes the attention on the car, which is what they're trying to do to advertise the Dodge Interceptor. So I think that's pretty cool, and I just got off on a tangent, didn't I? I didn't mean to.
You're good at a tangent. We're good. We're all good. Okay. I guess, what were things that you didn't like about the movie?
Oh boy, here we go. All right. Since the first time I watched this movie as a kid and the number of times that I have seen it since, this movie still does not make any sense to me. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why? And now that I overanalyze everything, I think I have a better grasp of why this movie irks me so much, why it confuses me. To me, this seems like a classic case of two figureheads, two production leaders in this movie that had distinctly different ideas, and both of them are competing or rivaling to see whose idea will come out on top. So ultimately, both ideas end up getting used, and it muddies the plot. It makes it harder to understand. Well, is it this or is it this? Okay, so this is where we actually need Carrie with her slideshow presentation of the entire plot line and all of the pictures and everything of all the different characters that are involved, and she does her synopsis so well. We miss you, Carrie. We need you back.
Yeah, we love you, Carrie.
Our main character, Jake, played by Charlie Sheen, is what? He is another incarnation of an original character named Jamie, who was beaten to death by Michael, the local bad guy, boyfriend of the main girl. So, okay, is the Wraith back from the dead? And that's his deal? Or is he an alien from another planet? Because with the way they're using the CGI effects and the way that he says, I traveled a long way to get here, and then at the end of the movie, when you kind of see him disappear off into the sunset on the motorcycle, is he an alien? You know, was he given a... So that calls into question, was Jamie an alien? Now, they only show Jamie once in the movie, and it's a completely different actor, and it's during the scene where he gets beat down and killed by Michael. And Charlie Sheen, I guess so that they could write it into the movie because it's a different actor, says this was the closest I could get, a reasonable facsimile to who I originally was. I'm like, okay, so aliens have this technology to put your soul into a completely different body, or you're back from the dead, and how does that work? So it's a little confusing because I'm not sure if he's supposed to be reincarnated as the spirit from beyond the grave, or if he's supposed to be like an alien come from another planet, which would call into question whether or not Jamie was an alien all along. We just don't know it. So that's why I think that there were like two different creative heads for this movie, and they both had these ideas that they wanted to get across, and they just keep conflicting with each other so that nothing is ever explained. We don't know what the full range of Jake's powers are, or is he able to do anything when he's outside of the car? Where does the bike manifest from? Where does it come from? Is it just a car and a different shape, a different manifestation? Because we see him on the bike, we see him in the car, but we never see the two together. So when he's in his Jake form, he's outside the car, he's got the bike. So is the bike the car? It never really explains where the bike comes from. Okay. But when he's in the car, he's always got his helmet on. So we never really see him as Jake. And there's so much that I don't really understand. There's too many questions because of the competing plot lines that I would have liked to have seen the storyline written out a little bit better to explain what exactly he is. Where is he from? We know why he came back. We just don't know how he came back? Did he get special permission from the, beyond the grave, from the or from his alien superiors to be able to come back? Did he run away? Did he steal the alien technology, the car, and bring it to this planet to enact his revenge? Because every time they have a drag race where he's against one of the guys and then he turns so that the car T-bones him and everything explodes, then the car remanifests itself with no damage whatsoever. And Jake never takes any damage either. So how is that? Because of the alien technology, or is it because it's supposed to be something spectral, that's allowed because he's reincarnated from beyond the grave? I don't really understand the logistics behind this. And if they explained it, then I could go, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. I get it. But there's really no explanation whatsoever. And it's so vague when they do it in the movie. And I would really like to see more of that. And that is the one thing that really vexes me about this movie. And also, as I hearkened earlier about his silhouette when he's at the chop shop garage and they do the whole Mystique shadow thing where he's got the helmet on and silhouetted against the doorway. It's a cool image, but it doesn't quite work for me because he's so small. It's just not that intimidating. I would want to see him like larger than life. It'd be really intimidating and scary at that point to like take up that whole doorway and just be this like menacing shadow figure. So even though it's a cool image, it's just like, yeah, okay. It's like, and that's pretty much the reaction that the guys in the garage have too. Like, you're not supposed to be here, blah, blah, blah. And so on. And then he goes about completely trashing the garage, which is fine. So he's still like an intimidating character, but he just doesn't give that really larger than life or spectral, like scare factor that I would expect someone called the Wraith to actually have. But, it's not about that focus. The focus is supposed to be on the car. So why didn't he use the car to enact the damage on the garage the way that he caused all the other cars to crash and be destroyed and kill all the other guys? So it's just, there's so many questions and loose plot holes that I really wish they had focused a little bit more on the writing and answered some of these questions. And I think that's the one thing that would make this movie go from, it's kind of cool to, dude, that was cool, So there's my little rant. And just, I don't get it.
It's like Akira and Spiral. We are not going to get any answers.
But there you go.
My biggest problem with this movie was mainly how predictable it was. I think it would have been a little bit better and less predictable if they used a trope from older horror movies where they basically just take the Jake character out and just have the Wraith running around murking these gang members and then reveal him as the reincarnated version of Jamie at the end. It would have been a little less predictable and a little less confusing.
That's where Ron's thoughts on it being a two-sided movie. Because they wanted to have the love story, but they also wanted to have the horror car aspect.
Yeah.
And if they'd went one way or the other, that would have probably made it. Or figured out how to fill out the plot holes a little bit more. That would have been good.
Well, if you had gone Josh's route with just the car going around and killing people, and then doing the reveal at the end that it was Jake all along, being the reincarnation of Jamie, that almost would have made it no different than the 1970s movie The Car, which was the predecessor of Christine. The car was about basically its own self-driving vehicle. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, but it's this long black, I can't even think of the kind of car it was, but they had chopped off the top of the car, made like a half windshield, so it looked way more intimidating, way just freakier, but they never ever show who's driving the car, so you can only assume that it's driving itself, which is kind of what they insinuate in the movie. So this could basically be the same thing if you go Josh's route. And they're trying to track this car, the Wraith, the Dodge Interceptor down throughout the movie and figure out, well, where does it go? Where does it come from? Because we obviously know that it has the ability to appear and disappear, at Jake's command, that, he can control the car that way. So they keep trying to track it down. And then at the end of the movie, when they finally do, then he steps out of the car and he takes off the helmet, and you find out that it's the reincarnation of Jamie. So I think that would have been infinitely more interesting, the way Josh is putting it. But they have to develop the love story first. And if they did that, then there would never be a love story developing between Jake and what's the girl's name that Michael was bullying? I can't even remember her name now. But
I can't either for the life of me.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with it being a couple of months since the last, we're supposed to watch this movie. So, I mean, there's a couple of ways that they could have gone about it, or at least written it so that the storyline would have made more sense, and so far as that goes. But I mean, overall, it's still an okay movie, but they could have changed it from an okay movie to, wow, it was pretty cool. And then the Dodge Interceptor would be right up there with Kit, but it's not. So,
very true. Okay, guys, let us do the ads. Roll the beautiful Faye footage, and then come back and do some reviews and our reviews, and go from there. Sound good?
We.
Greetings and shabebans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Reductibus, we explore a range of retro goodness goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Door King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Octopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
And we're back. Okay, guys. How many windshield wipers would you give this movie, and would you recommend it?
Go ahead, Josh. You go first this time.
I'd probably give it about a 6. Despite the predictability, it was actually a decent movie for the time it was made, and had a fairly decent cast. It had 3 actors that everyone has seen at one point of their life or another. Which was Charlie Sheen. Dang, I had their names up there for a minute. Randy Quaid and shoot, I forgot.
Clint Howard?
Yeah, Clint Howard.
Okay.
And as far as recommending, yeah.
What about you, Ron?
I don't know if I would go windshield wipers, but I want to give it 4 square tires because it'll roll, but it's kind of bumpy. It's a bumpy ride, precisely for the reasons that we discussed, with it being a little confusing, but it will still get you there. The car is certainly the best part of the movie. Would I recommend it? I would say yes, because now it's more 80s nostalgia. It's young Charlie Sheen. You get to see him back in his prime before he got involved in drugs. And I think that's probably why Necro would have put this movie on the list, to see a young Charlie Sheen. And the movie's not terrible, but it's not the best it could be. And that's sort of the area that we dwell here on this show. If you take a look at the movies that we've watched, that seems to be our little, our forte, movies that could be better but aren't. So yeah, I would recommend it, and I'll give it 4 square tires.
Okay. I think I go with the 4, and I can honestly say, yeah, I've definitely seen better Charlie Sheen movies. I've seen more ridiculous Charlie Sheen movies, and
Well, he does do ridiculous better than he does serious, to be honest.
to anybody that'd like to see 80s nostalgia, I'd recommend it. Do we remember if we did the movies Munchies?
Movies, Munchies. I don't know if we've
Yeah,
ever
the
done
movie okay. So we haven't done Munchies. I don't think we've done Full Moon High, or have we done Creature Cabin?
We've not
I
done
think so.
either any of those. This is the first Charlie Sheen movie
You don't
that
remember?
I've done since I've been on this show.
Oh. No, I'm not talking about
She's
Charlie. I'm looking at the wheel, man.
seeing what to take
Oh, the
off the
wheel.
wheel and what needs to stay on.
Okay.
Because I have, my will needed to be updated.
No, we haven't done any of those movies.
Okay, so I know, then I have the will updated. Then, let's see. Let's become, okay, some of the trivia for this movie. Because of the tight timing window prior to filming Platoon, all of Charlie Sheen's scenes, that was hard to say for some reason, were done in one day. He's only seen maybe 30 minutes of the film. The chase scene was shot in the mountains outside of Tuscan. A crew member was killed and another was critically injured. According to supplementary material, a camera car was overloaded and overturned. Those were the only serious accidents during this movie. According to the interview on Jay Leno's Garage, Charlie Sheen said, "I shot this in a pit stop on the way to the Philippines to film Platoon." Sheen said the Wraith, Oliver Stone, went and saw it in the movie theater and called me so angrily afterward. Charlie Sheen recalls as Stone was generally worried that Wraith was going to soil people's opinions of Platoon. Seriously, thinking about it, does it soil your opinion of the Platoon?
No, not really. I didn't think he did a bad acting job.
Well, since I hadn't seen this until long after I'd seen Platoon, and it doesn't really affect it in the slightest.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 completely different movies. I don't even know if you could compare them. I don't even think they were made by the same people.
No, they weren't. It's just they had for some odd reason them coming out at the same time he thought was going to taint it. And apparently, Clint Howard, the guy I was saying that was my age at the filming, he wore a wig for his role. And of course, Johnny Depp was considered for Jake or Augie.
Interesting.
Let's see.
Not sure how I feel about that.
I don't know either.
Would it have been better named Turbo Interceptor?
You mean the name of the movie?
Yeah, the movie.
No. I mean, if you just call the movie Interceptor,
Yeah.
then it probably still could have been a good movie, and it would have called attention to the car, which is what they wanted to do. But the Wraith has a much more ominous feel to it. I think it's a much better title, and they tried to work that into the script as well, so it does tie it all together. As in, what is he? And then when you find out that Jake is the reincarnation of Jamie to an extent, then it does give some credence to the whole Wraith phenomena. So that makes sense. So no, I think leave the title the way it is, the Wraith.
Yeah. It was dedicated to the memory of Bruce Ingram, who worked on the film as an assistant cameraman. It was filmed in January. Okay. For the reviews, this one was very enthusiastic. The Wraith is an interesting blend of fantasy, action, and drama. Fantasy, action, drama, romance, and even a bit of horror, while at the same time being a vengeance movie. The classic 80s movie made the futuristic car, a Dodge M4S, a household name for the time of its release. Interesting also how elements of the film are so familiar with the Fast and Furious franchise, which makes me believe the writers of the original Fast and Furious based their film on the race. Could this indeed have been the inspiration? Like I said, an enthusiastic person. The Wraith features amazing cars, fast-paced, impressive action scenes. This will no doubt be a feast for car enthusiasts. I also enjoy the characters and the premise in general. Charlie Sheen stars as the film's protagonist, Jake, a mysterious character. At first, we learn a lot about Jake through flashbacks. Nick Cassavetes stars as the antagonist, Packard, who is possessive over Carrie. Carrie is a strong character and the only person in town who was not scared to stand up to Packard.
See, I got the names wrong.
Right,
You couldn't remember the girl's name. We should have read the review first.
Well, yeah. Well,
I called him Michael. His name was Packard. Wasn't even close.
Randy Quaid is well cast as Sheriff Loomis. Very true.
Yeah.
Who also takes Packard and his gang. The Wraith is very well made for its time, even by today's standards. The film delivers more than enough thrills and excitement to keep the viewer engaged. It also offers a great climax on a physical and emotional level. This is a darn good movie.
Had to put that darn in there.
Yeah, right. Emphasize it. I mean, it's a fair assessment, I think.
Yeah. The Fast and the Furious part was a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I don't know if this movie, Fast and the Furious, had anything to do with this movie, because there were certainly other movies that about drag that probably came out that they could have based it on more. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any, but I'm sure there was some.
Let's see. What was the last thing you said? Sorry.
I don't think this movie was an inspiration for Fast and the Furious.
No, I don't either. Another one says, if you like underrated movie, those movies from the 1980s enjoyed the movie Crow, of which this movie is very similar to. You will like this movie. This is there. It's very hard to read the cynics. There are a lot of critics of this movie, but everyone I have ever known has seemed to like it. He owns the DVD and the Blu-ray version.
There are some similarities between this movie and The Crow, since it's someone coming back from the dead to exact revenge. So yeah, I can see that. But The Crow was much more well thought out, and I think it's probably because I think it originated from a comic strip, so they had more source material to work from.
Okay, well, very true. I love watching how we got rid of the bad guys. And the last one I'm gonna go with is, it says, I forgot to look at BNS about movies, didn't I? Let's find out. Because we can't forget them.
He usually has good reviews.
There we go. That is not what I wanted.
How many other Wraith movies are there?
No, I accidentally clicked the one above it. 1 second, and then I'll read it. Okay. Today's Scarecrow Psychotronic Challenges 27 Modem Oneris, a movie about transportation methods. A car, rollerblades, a broom, a flying saucer, whatever gets you there. I've been wanting to talk about the Wraith for some time, so this is a perfect opportunity. In another version of our reality, the Wraith was the Top Gun of 1986. People are still wearing t-shirts of it, dressing up in costumes at cons. I have an amazing Jake Casey action figure on my shelf. As bright lights descend from the heavens, shades of the Visitor, an all-black Dodge Turbo Interceptor comes to life, along with a black garb driver. Welcome to Brooks, Arizona. This is where Packard Walsh Nick. I cannot say this name for the life of me. That's what's tripping me up. Nick Kazep, son of Gina Rollins and John Kazavetz, excluding per sexual menace, leads a gang of car thieves that race people for pink slips. Everybody and everything is his property, mainly Carrie Johnson, who doesn't remember Packard killing her boyfriend, Jamie Hankins. That's when Jake Casey arrives on a dirt bike. He's instantly befriends Carrie and Jamie's brother Billy, who both work at Big K's, a local drive-in burger joint. One day, while they swim at a local river, they both notice huge knife scars on Jake's back. The Turbo Interceptor starts to take over Packard's races. Its driver's face never seen, his body covered in armor and metal braces for reasons unexplained. Everyone who races the Wraith, as he comes to be called, is killed, including gang members Augie Fisher.
You're muted.
Sorry. I was looking back to see if I had muted. Augie Fisher, Mia like Skink and Gutter Boy. How can you love gang members who drink gasoline for an entire movie? How can you not love gang members who drink gasoline for the entire movie? I love they're so high that they refuse to believe in the Wraith. Soon they get blown up real good. Meanwhile, Sheriff Loomis is in hot pursuit but never seems to get close. Rughead, the only gang member who didn't help kill Jamie, goes to the police to try and save Skip. He's played by Clint Howard, and his amazing hair, a B&S favorite since Evil Speak. Packard still has an iron grip on Carrie despite the fact she won't give him what he wants, sex. Isn't that what all guys want? Well, once he sees Carrie kiss Jake, he kidnaps her and says they're heading for California. She stands up to him and says that she never loved him. The race shows up and Packard finally pays for his crimes. As police prepare to give chase, Loomis calls it off, as they could never catch him. Carrie gets back home and the Wraith pulls up, then transforms into Jake. He tells her that he is her dead boyfriend, but doesn't look like him because this is as close as I could come to who I once was. In truth, Sheen was tied up making Platoon, so they filmed the early scenes without him. Jake has one last act before he can leave. He gives the Turbo Interceptor to his brother, revealing who he really is. Tells Carrie to pack light for where they're going. Where Jake? Heaven? Outer space? The planet or dimension they sent Tony's dad in Extro? The Wraith is the very definition of bonkers. It's like Ghost Rider meets the car meets Rebel without a cause, by the way of Punk Gang from The Road Warrior. It's so many movies in one with something for everyone to love. It was written and directed by Mike Martin, who also brought us Hamburger, the motion picture, and directed 4 movies under the pen name of Jake Casey. Yep, you guessed it, the Wraith himself. You can check it out on Shudder, which you should do immediately. And you should also go to B&S Movies and check out all of the things, because he just rocks. Okay. Let's see. We should probably do the wheel, huh?
Wheel of fish. Wheel of fish.
Yay, fish.
Let's do.
I like fish.
Why is Necro staring at me with his
There
one
we
eye?
I don't know, but can you see the wheel?
Arg.
I see the spinning wheel, but not the wheel. like it's trying to load a wheel, but the wheel's not there. There's a wheel, and it's only got 3 movies on it.
I think. Yep.
All right, so we got a 1 in 3 chance
I
of
guess
getting
let's do this thing. Yeah, it should have more. I don't have Carrie's full list. Creature Cabin.
2017.
Alrighty.
I kind of have to wonder if that's going to be anything like Cabin in the Woods.
Wait a minute.
Did we watch that already? You asked that earlier. Now I'm wondering if
I think we already did that one. I think we're gonna have
wasn't
to
that the
redo
girl
that.
in the rock and roll band that got fired?
Upside down.
She was like in the rock and roll band and
That
she
was
got
the
fired.
one where everybody was
and everybody dies.
hypnotized by the upside down noodles.
Yeah. Well, that was Tarnation. Yeah, we've already done that one. So
It's so bad I watched it from my memory. I can't remember it.
share thing.
Oh no, that was the weird unicorn. Yeah. The evil unicorn thing.
Yeah, okay, then we did watch that one. If that's Creature Cabin, it had the weird unicorn. I think they were like in Australia or something.
Yeah.
All right, now we got the spinny. So we have a 50-50 chance of getting a bad movie.
Yeah.
If it ever comes up. Well, it's going to be tomorrow by the time we're actually done with the show.
Yeah. My internet's being stupid.
Apparently.
Okay, Full Moon High.
Well, I'm glad you can see it on your end. It's still on the spinning end for me. All right, Full Moon High.
Yeah, I don't remember watching that.
I don't know if I've seen that one. Sounds like a werewolf movie. So, to be or not to be?
Voodoo, Amazon Prime, YouTube TV. Does not look like it is to be.
Doesn't look like it's on Tubi.
No.
I'll find it.
Okay. Because I don't even know if it ever showed up that you guys could see the screen.
No, it's still on the spinny.
Below.
Yeah, my internet's just not happy with it.
Amazon Prime Video, Sling.
Yeah, it's looking like
YouTube.
it's not to be.
Oh, well.
To be.
To be or not to be? That's the question. Not to be.
Okay, so since my internet's being a jerk, Full Moon High, I will share a link to it as soon as I find it. And it will be in the usual group. Ron, where do you want to be found?
Well, you can still find me on my author page on Facebook, Ronald W. Gillespie Jr. author. Like it says there. I am still working on a web page, which is sort of there, but not there. I haven't done any work on it lately because we still can't figure out the whole email issue with it yet. So it's sort of on a hiatus until we get all the issues worked out with the actual server. Until then, I'm continuing to write. So you can find me on Fakor. You can find me on all along, the Watchtower, and send Friday a message. And she's the number one Owlite cosplayer here, so she can get in touch with me. And I just want to say that assuming that my beta readers get the story back in time so I can make the changes, there is a really good possibility that I'll be having another book coming out in October. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Jenny.
You're definitely going to be in a anthology in October regardless.
What's that?
So you're going to be in an anthology in October regardless.
I'm not talking about the anthology. I'm talking about a freaking novel.
Yeah.
Trying to get my second book out.
That is the plan. I will read it as soon as I can. Joshy,
Right.
Where do you want to be found?
Find Friday. And
See,
she'll find me.
Friday. Yep.
Yeah.
Considering you live together and you're married, that would make sense.
And I'm everywhere. Owlite, Fakor, on most of the platforms. And I'm trying to get some of them fully updated. Come find me in places. And I will keep doing the things in all the places. So thank you all for being here. I hope you all have an amazing night. And where did the thing go?
I'm going to Disneyland.
I had to adjust it for previous things we were doing that Ron will have to find out about later. But either way, have a good night.
Happy trails to you. Till we meet again.